Good evening. Last session, last 2 hours. Okay, I've enabled the calling feature. Somebody, Prabhu, you wanted to call. Last session there was a glitch. We got that fixed. Anybody wants to call? All lines are open. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening. We wait 2-3 minutes. Agenda is Dravida Visara. Good evening. Again waiting. Requisite number. Yes, Shushmita, we had a discussion about it also. Check the first recording. Yes, we had a discussion about it. GS paper 1 was discussed in part A. First 15, 20, 25 minutes. Good evening, good evening. I'll wait 1 more minute. Anybody wants to call? Prabhu, have you joined? You wanted to call? I've allowed the calling feature. He's not here only. Yes, you wanted to call Prabhu. It's enabled. Okay. Calling Prabhu. It should be ringing on your side. From my side, the call is going. So we'll figure it out later. Okay. The request did come. I did call, but some other issue. Okay. So we've discussed Nagara. Now we'll move to South India. Dravida. No, I didn't cancel it. I'm still calling you. Right now it is showing ringing Prabhu. I didn't cancel. I am not doing anything. If you don't pick it up, it gets cancelled. So call cancelled because you didn't pick up. So it's something. Sushmit, more than enough. Don't worry. Yeah, you can mail me, no issues. Okay. When we talk about Dravida very simply came out of the Pallava architecture. Came out of Pallava architecture. And just to give you a basic evolution, just to see a basic evolution, within Pallava architecture, you have Mahendravarman one, then Narasimha Varman 1 Mamala, then Narasimha Varman 2 Rajasimha, and then that becomes Dravida style. That becomes Dravida style. The point is, it starts with rock cut temples, which he used to call mandapa. Very basic temples. Narasimha Mamala took rock cut to highest point, zenith, wherein the best example of that is Pancharathas at Mahabalipuram. And then last but not least, he is the one who developed the Shore temple, which is the first example of Dravida. And that evolved into Dravida style, which was taken to highest point by Cholas. This is the basic story of how, very simply, the Pallavan architecture gave way to Dravida architecture. So this is the evolution. So let's discuss the Pallava architecture first. So Pallava architecture, the stage 1, wherein you have Mahendravarman 1 and Temple of Pulkeshin 2. He is known for his rock cut temples called mandapas, unlike where mandapa is nothing but congregation hall. And these are very straightforward temples, very straightforward. This is for him called the mandapa, which is nothing but a temple for him. These are rock cut temples. And very simply, they are carved into rock. These are very straightforward, rudimentary temples. This is Mahendravarman. This is taken a step further with or by Narasimhavarman 1, or what we call as Narasimhavarman Mahamala, or Mahabalipuram is named after Mamalapuram. He came to throne in 1640 and he inaugurated the city of Mahabalipuram, where we have the best example of what we call as Pancharath. Mandapas divided by separate raths, very simply 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all named after Mahabharat characters. Dharmaraj Rath, Arjun Rath, Bhim Rath, Nakul Sahadev Rath, and Draupadi Rath. And the Pandav Raths, or the Panch Rath, as they're called, are that way very, very important. Dharmaraj Rath being the biggest in that sense. But there they realized one thing. See, this is the Panch Rath. These are called the Panch Raths. And Panch Raths of Mahabalipuram is like a high point. Why they are the high point? Because we had never seen this type of intricate carving. But the problem is that all are incomplete. Why? Because they all started to crack. And then they realized the problem. Which is that if you start to carve a rock too much, the Mahabalipuram rocks were not supporting this much intricate carving. And that is why his successor, realizing from the problems which were coming from rock cut, he is the one who developed what are called structural temples. And the first example of this is Shore Temple at Mahabalipuram and Kailashnath Temple at Kanchipuram. And by the time we come to the last person who ruled under the Pallavas, his Nandivarman group, though the features are fading away, but the features have now become, in a way, institutionalized. So when we talk about this whole concept, this can be asked in the examination also, which is that this is the cutoff point. From till this point, it is called the rock cut phase, and this is called the structural temple phase. And that is why generally it is considered that Pallavan architecture is the origin of Dravida architecture. And Dravida, before I go to that, which is the features of Dravida, need to remember Mahendravarman, Mandapas, thereafter Pancharath, Narasimhavarman Mahamala, and Shore Temple, which is the first example of Dravida architecture. And therefore, by the time Pallavas were declining in the form of the Mukteshwar Temple or the Parshurameshwar Temple or the Mantaleshwar Temple, the point was that the features had become standard. If this evolutionary process makes sense, if you understand this concept itself, then I would like to discuss the features of Dravida architecture. No. So Pallava took inspiration from Nagara? No. Independent development. Independently developed. There's no connection here. Stage 4 is this. Stage 4, stage 3, stage 2, stage 1. So there's no connection between Nagara and Dravida. Very different in their structures and style. Word mandap confused. Mandap here means very simply temple. That's it. In North India, it has different implication. Yeah, Samita, the point was that the temple's quality and decoration was declining, but the structure was straightforward. Raj Simha group is this. Avni, his title is Raj Simha. That is why Narasimhavarman too. If you're asking me these questions, then there's no point teaching you post-Gupta. Because Pallava, when I told you these three people will re-emerge. Mamala, Mahendravarman, Narasimhavarman. One of you asked me what's Chalukya king, Pulkeshin too. These are words which should have some meaning for you. I hope, because we paid a lot of attention to them whilst we were discussing post-Gupta. So are we clear with regards to evolutionary process, and these words have meaning for you because I want to discuss the features. Okay. Dravida style. Now, these temples here have a very interesting structure. Yes. Now comes the temple itself. Okay. The first and the most distinguishing feature about Dravida is the gateway, which is called Gopuram. Then you have a boundary wall. Third, water tank, because of the nature of the terrain and the geography. Thereafter, you have a Garbhagriha, you have Mandapa, you have Ardha Mandapa, 3, 4, 6. No raised platform. And now comes the interesting part. The terms change in South India, and the Shikhar now is called Vimana. And what is the top of a hill called in Hindi? What is the top of a hill called? The summit of a hill. Very good. So now Shikhar actually has the literal meaning, which is top of Vimana. These 8 features are the first standard 8 features of a Dravida style temple. Garbhagriha, Mandapa, and Ardhamandap remain the same. Vimana is a word which is used for Shikhar, and the Amlaka and Kalasha are now substituted by the word Vimana, by the word Shikhar. So Shikhar is now the top of the temple rather than being the curvilinear tower. Other than that, 3 new features have been added. The game changer features: gateway, Gopuram, water tank, and boundary wall. Standard feature of this sector. Anybody has any issue in these 8? If not, I will then further move and discuss the next 4 features which are equally important and interesting. Yes? Anybody has any issue? No. Okay. Now, 9th feature. There is Panchayatan, but no clusterization. Before I do that, this is an example of a Gopuram. And this is an example of a Vimana. And this is a Shikhar. This is a Gopuram. This is the boundary wall. This is how they are fundamentally different to North Indian temples. Now, Gopuram, Mandapa, Garbhagriha, Vimana, Shikhar. So, when I talk about there is Panchayatan but no clusterization, what was Vimana? Shikhar is Viman, the word equivalent in North India. Viman means the Shikhar or the tower. Tower is called Shikhar in North India and is called Vimana in South India. There is Panchayatan but no clusterization, which means multiple subsidiary shrines but not together. So it will look something like this. In South India, it will look something like this. But very simply, so this is Viman, this is Shikhara. So they will be separate. No clusterization. Now, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. God will be under which? Main God. 2, 1, 1, 2, tallest, 1, 3, 3, 1, 3. No. In South India, main God is under the shortest Vimana, not the tallest. What would be the reason? Now that you know that it is 2, why? Why? Because others are guards. Okay. Anything else? Other 2 to protect the god. Main deity. First main deity was added. More money later. Anything else? Okay. Hardeep and Sushmita write that way. This would be the oldest part of the temple. So when the temple started, because here temples are very, very old, the oldest part of the temple would be small. For example, if you've been to even Tirupati, Lord Venkateshwara, the Garbhagriha and the Vimana of Lord Venkateshwara is the shortest, because that was the original temple. Not a lot of money, but was very, very important, thousands of years old. And thereafter, when the money started to pour in the form of Dan Dakshina and all, the later parts were added, which have monumental scale in that regard. So the initial Dravida, mostly, the god will be found under the shortest Vimana. So we discussed 8 features here and basically 2 more here. Anybody has any issue here? No? Okay. Now comes the last major. The imagery and the structure has fierce and very protective images. Dwarpals who protect the temple. And the reason being that in South India, temples were centers of power, economic and social power. Therefore, the imagery projects that power. The life of the people used to revolve around the temple. It was both a political sphere, politically powerful, economically powerful, and socially powerful. And therefore, that is reflected in the imagery. Very fierce imagery. Dwarpals are there. Multiple mystical creatures are used. And you would have seen for sure. Have you seen the Sri Lankan map? Have you seen Sri Lanka? Not map. Sri Lanka flag. Have you seen that lion holding the sword? That lion imagery is quite common in South India. Therefore, that is basically because that is a fierce imagery. That is to project a power which is there. And very simply, that is reflected in the imagery. While in North India it is welcoming, in South India it is protective. So I have talked about first the fact that now there is a Gopuram, there is a water tank, there is a boundary wall, all because of the very enclosed nature of the temple itself. Temple has a water tank, therefore it is a very important source of water for the whole community around it, and therefore people do go to temples irrespective of anything. Mandapa, Garbhagriha, Vimana, Shikhara, and Ardha Mandap remain the same in that regard. But there is Vimans are not clustered in South India, and the main god is under the smallest, and the imagery is fierce and tends to project power in that regard. So if we look at the basic features through the PPT, unlike Nagara Dravida is enclosed within a compound wall first. Second, it has an entrance gateway in the center, which is called Gopuram. Thereafter, the main tower is called Vimana, and it is like a stepped pyramid, unlike the Shikhar of the North Indian sector. You have multiple Shikhars. There is no cluster in South India. Thereafter, the most sacred of temples in South India, the main temple Garbhagriha has the shortest tower because it is the oldest part of the temple itself. And whereas in the entrance of the North Indian temples, it would usually have very welcoming images of Mithun, goddesses, Ganga, Yamuna. Here you have doorkeepers and dwarpals. It is common to find large water tanks within it, and subsidiary shrines are either incorporated within the main tower or are located distant, very far away from the same temple. Basically, that is how castration is possible. Either there's only one Vimana and it would have 5 gods under it, or if there are 5 gods, they will be very far placed, far away in that regard. So there are 11 points which we've discussed. Anybody has issues in these 11 points? 11 points. Anyone? Last point, what is the issue? Imagery is fierce. The imagery and structure has fierce and very protective images. Dwarpas protect the temple. South Indian temples are points of what we call as political, economic, and social power. While in North India, they could be an economic place for religious purposes. Temples in South India get a grant. What is that called? What is the grant which the Cholas used to give to temples called? What is the grant? Not Shal Bhoga. Shal Bhoga is given to schools. Path Shala, Shal Bhoga. Devdana. Devdana. Samita, very good. Sridevi, Devdana. Now, if you think that Devdana grant is 500 villages to Lord Venkateshwara, you think that Lord Venkateshwara temple will be open, will have very welcoming imagery. If a temple is holding multiple villages, has a lot of power in it, will that mean that it should have us try to understand the status of a South Indian temple? There's a fundamental difference in the way a South Indian temple operates and a North Indian temple operates. North India, they are open, while the riverside, it is much more open if it is on the plain area. Others, temples are already very far-fetched placed when it comes to Kedarnath, Badrinath. However, in South India, temples are not just a place of worship, but are also very importantly linked with, for example, the Vijayanagara Nayaks. And initially in the Chola period, because they got Devdana grants, they are very powerful temples. So you tell me the temple should project power, yes or no? Yes, so then how do you project power? How do you project power? By a certain type of imagery. Sure, it could be that the temple, wealthy people kept their money in temples, banking started with it. Prabhu, now you're taking it too far. No, that is technically not true. The temple, once you give the money to the temple, it is the devas, it is the gods. So temples have no connection with banking. But the point of the matter is, sure, that could be the case that certain people could give money. Temples had workshops within it. Temples had craftsmen with it. Temples had what we call as cultural institutions. Temple are political. I don't need to tell you this. This is something which you understand till today. That Padmana Swami, for example, Lord Venkateshwara, Tirupati, TTD Trust, holds more gold than most of the banks in India. So I don't think this should come as a shock to you or something new to you. Multiple temples in India, and specifically in South India, from Ramanathapuram, from Rameshwaram to Padmana Swami to Swaminarayan to TTD, which is Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam, which is TTD Venkateshwara, Lord Venkateshwara, all hold a lot of money. ISKCON, but ISKCON is not Indian. ISKCON trust is not established in India. The trust itself is not in India, but it is a concept of Krishna that is separate altogether. The point of the matter is that you need to realize, and I don't know why am I having this conversation. You project power, and obviously you need guards. The temple should not look like an institution which is not protected, because within temples itself, they hold multiple, what we call as different forms of gold, silver, and power. It's a power center. So that is what explains the boundary wall and Gopuram. Yes, that is the point. The point is that the Gopuram and the boundary wall is needed because this, when you look at this compound, it looks like a power center. You cannot randomly enter into the temple. And again, I don't need to tell you this again, very simple, because you are connected to multiple current affairs issues, and for example, multiple issues related to temple entry also. And that is why in South India, there was a need for the temple entry movement, because entering the temple premises, even projecting your shadow on the temple wall, was considered problematic for certain communities. Have you done this in modern India? The whole concept of Srinarayan Guru, from the temple entry movement to Periyar to the whole Justice Party, what was the point of that? Temples in South India are not just political, not just religious institutions, and their structure tends to project that. When you look at this type of structure, when this is the example, you can see here Dwarpals. The power which is not literal Dwarpals, the images are of Dwarpals. When you look at this structure, what comes in your mind? What comes in your mind? Very simply, this is a certain type of grandeur, a power statement. It is a power statement. So understand this point. Temples in South India are very, very powerful institutions with Devdana grants under them, controlling multiple villages and a very, very, very high cash stream. Along with that, they employ multiple thousands of people. And more than that, they within themselves have an economy. From Prasadam to Mandapam to wherever you are going, to people getting employed, it is not a joke. The projection of power is totally different. Can you remember for the examination? Nobody is asking you the politics behind it. Can you remember these 11 points for the examination? Symbolism, yes. Yes? Okay. So, when we talk about, see, why did I say that Shore temple is the first form of Dravida, because you can see there is already a distinction between Gopuram and Dravida and the Vimana. What is wrong between these what is the initial part here? This is the Viman, this is the Vimana, and this is the Gopuram. This is Shore temple, earliest example of a Dravida temple. Gopuram, Vimana, Shikhar. What is the anomaly here? What is the problem here? How is it not fully Dravida? How is it not fully Dravida? Firstly, boundary wall is not there, and the Gopuram needs to go as a gateway. No boundary, but the Gopuram needs to push away from the Vimana. Understand this? You see this image. The Gopuram is here. Viman is here. At least 2 to 3 kilometers would be the difference between these two. So the initial structure, the Viman and the Gopuram are very close to each other. So later they will develop a proper boundary wall and push it outside, so that it literally becomes a proper type of Gopuram Viman structure. Before I go to Chola, are we clear with regards to this? Because then I'll give you a table that should help you. Yes, okay. So Chola style is the highest point of Dravida, and the point is they exhibit all 11 features. Exhibit all 11 features. But what makes a temple Chola style, for example, Brideshwara temple or Gangaikonda Cholapuram, is that there is monumental Viman. Monumental Viman, very high Vimans were made. And the higher the temple was, the more elaborate the mandapa was. Which means that there is both monumental Vimana and horizontal elaboration. The bigger the Viman, the bigger the temple complex itself. It used to match it in that regard. This is the power of the Cholas, that they used to make temples which could be seen from 5 to 6, 8, 10 kilometers. You could see the tip from 10 to 15 kilometers away. That is the level of power they wanted to project. Further, what they used to do was that they used to also put their kings inside the Garbhagriha in either what we call as a stone form, but the Cholas, when we discuss sculpture, are known for lost wax technique based bronze sculptures. So we know the images, or we know the faces of Raja or Rajendra Varman, because they, in the Namaskara Mudra, their bronze statues were placed inside the temple itself. They are perpetually, till today, in a way, to worshipping the god in bronze form. So what Cholas do is that they add everything, or bring everything together, which is the grandeur of Dravida, along with that grandeur of Dravida, plus the monumentality of having very, very big Vimanas, Mandapa Vimana very, very big, and over and above that, kings and queens within the temple along with the deity. And that is why we have images of Chola kings. This was also done by Vijayanagara kings. Vijayanagara, Krishnadeva and his two wives actually were made into bronze statues and put into Vijayanagara temples. So before we go to Vesara, I'll take a break here. I'll give you a breather, becoming too much information. Then when I come back, I'll give you a table. I'll write on one side Nagara, I'll write on other side Dravida. Dravida Nagara is the standard question which comes through. Thereafter, we'll do Vesara, which is nothing but a mixture of Dravida and Nagara both. Acceptable? Acceptable? Yes? Okay. So we come back at 7:05, and when we do, we go forward and finish this theme today. So I will see you at 7:05. Welcome back. All comfortable, all good. This break wasn't needed, but you all started to say break, break, break. So break. If everybody is refreshed, everybody is ready, and I have everybody's permission. Last 50 minutes. One discussion where we consolidate everything what we've done since the morning, and thereafter, Vesala style. Yes? You saw GS paper 2. What was the... I met Anubhav sir. He was telling me in the break. Straightforward paper, GS paper 2. I think so. Yes, sir. Okay. Can we start? Still silent? It was a bit easy. Straightforward. Don't call it easy. It's UPSC. It's about straightforward or tricky. No question is never easy, but it's just that they were very straightforward in asking you what they want from you in that question, rather than putting in, for example, questions. That is true. Whenever prelims is extremely difficult, CSAT was actually more difficult than the GS paper 1 itself. So that is standard. That we've seen a standard pattern. When prelims is extremely difficult, then mains is a little bit better in that sense. GS3 will now be out of imagination. And I don't think so. Let's see. When the paper is dynamic, that always happens. The problem with the GS paper 3 is most dynamic paper. Or everything is current affairs in that sense. That is, there's no standard rule. Next year it will be that year there's a pattern. UPSC is not that predictable that way. Nagara and Dravida. Now Nagara Dravida. You have Garbhagriha, Mandapa, Shikhara, Pitha, Amlaka, Kalasha, and Ardha Mandap, Antartala. Now, this remains Garbhagriha only. This is Mandapa only. This becomes Vimana, no raised platform. Amlaka and Kalsha are now called Shikhara, and Ardha Mandapa and Antartala remains. So when we talk about structurally, this is the case that structure-wise, this is the major point. Now here, no boundary wall. Dravida style handwriting is not visible, or it should be Hardeep, refresh. I have written, it is showing me here. No boundary wall, no water tank, no gateway. Here, boundary wall, water tank, and gateway called Gopura. Till this point, anybody has any issue? This is the structural concept. Structurally. Anybody has any issue here? Okay. Come on, I have to be more vocal. Last 40 minutes. Come on. Okay. Now. We are now in consolidation mode. Dravida. After this, we do Vesara. This is the consolidation mode. Now, Panchayatan with clusterization. Panchayatan without clusterization. Without clusterization. Welcoming images, fierce and protective images. Regional variations and different shikhars. No variations. Standard structure. deity under tallest tower, deity under shortest tower. Any point which we missed? Mera refresh. Any point we missed till this point? Structurally, these are the points over and above. Yes? Okay, perfect. Now, Nagara divided into 3 and 3. Latina, Vamsana, Valabhi, Odisha, Khajuraho, and Solanki. Boundary, Rekhadyul, Jagmohan. Erotic theme, boundary, water, Suryakund, Torana as gateway, and sun temples. convex, concave, and rectangular. Everything we've done since we started temple architecture. Anybody has any issue here, please say something or forever be silent thereafter. Come on. Last one. Which last one? What is the, if you're writing Walabi, what is the issue with Walabi? Walabi has rectangular base, vaulted. A lot of you are silent, very silent. Odisha is boundary wall, Rekhadyur, Jagmohan. Odisha school, can you give a recap? It has all the features, however, has a boundary wall. Rekhadyur is the word which is used for Shikhar, Jagmohan, which is used for Mandapa. Can we close the story? Because this is the fundamental, the biggest section that is of architecture, which is Nagara Dravida temple. This, that. Further, you also have the 5 stages and the basic components. Jagmohan, boundary wall, Rekhadyur. See, you're acting like I'm telling you for the first time. Jagmohan, Rekhadyur. Basic components, 5 stages. Are you capable of writing any mains answer? Basic components, 5 stages. The different regional variations and the variations based on the concept of Latina Famsana and the difference between Nagara and Dravida. Now, one thing very clear, if you get a question where they're asking you to contrast between Nagara and Dravida, don't just give this type of box. Write in sentences, be more clear. I've given it to you as a process of revision. I need everybody's assertion to go to Vesara. If everybody is with me, we'll talk about Vesara. Can I do that? Okay. Now, Vesara is very simply a mixture of Nagara and Dravida. Mostly structure is taken from Nagara. Decoration, ornamentation, themes are taken from Dravida. Common in Maharashtra, in northern Karnataka, in parts of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and northern Tamil Nadu. And more than that, there are certain dynasties which followed it quite a lot. The Rashtrakutas, Chalukyas, the Hoysalas dynasty, and the Kakatiyas followed this pattern of Vesara. And the Hoysaleshwara temple at Helibed, the Chennakeshwara temple, and the Ramappa temple. This is a very good example of this. Hoysaleshwara, Chennakeshwara, Ramappa. Ramappa got the UNESCO World Heritage tag also. And these two have been nominated for it also. This is the basic things which you need to know about Vesara. So when we talk about Vesara, different types of influences of north and south come together in regions like northern Karnataka. And whilst there is emphasis on the Vimana and Mandapa, which is basically the Shikhar and the Mandap, and it has open pathways, very big halls in that regard, very intricate carvings. The Chalukya, Badami, Kalyani, Rajputas, and the Hoysalas followed this quite a lot, and Helibed and Belur are very important center of it. Nagara, curvilinear Shikhar is taken, square base is taken. The Dravida architecture influences mostly on carving and design of Vimana. So very simply, it does not have a set plan. It has multiple things which represent multiple aspects. It's called a hybrid plan and design. It takes whatever it wants to take from north and south, and that is why it was very popular in Deccan and central India. That is the point. Coming from north, coming from south, they took both elements very seriously. Now, if you look at the Kailashnath temple itself, Ellora, this is why I told you we'll discuss it by the end of the day, that Ellora, that this has features of both Nagara and Dravida. So it has like a Gopuram structure, but it is not fully Gopuramish. It has the carvings which come out from Dravida, but again, very not that like. Then you have a curvilinear Shikhar also, but it is looking like a Vimana from the top itself. So you see here, it has curvilinearity, but at the top it is no Amlaka and Kalash. Same way, the way they made Panchayatan looks like Panchayatan, but there is clusterization also. So the problem is it has all different elements from different areas. But the best specimen of the Vesala style is the Hoysala art, and represented in the Hoysaleshwara temple and the Vijayanagara temple at Belur. Why? Because of the fact that what it has is called a stellate plan. It's called a stellate plan or star design. So the Hoysala art, we see star-like ground plan. They have star-like ground plan. One shine here, 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 entry from here. So they use black basaltic rock, star plan, and they have what is called a zigzag pattern. So if you look at this temple, you will realize that it has zigzag pattern. Their base is called Jagati. So the word which was used for base previously was what? In North India? Come on, don't sleep. Pitha. Yes. So the Pitha has now become Jagati. And you have this stellate plan. This whole plan looks like this. There is one here, one here, one here, one here, one here. And very simply, a gateway from here. And at each corner, there is one small shrine. Zigzag pattern, Jagati platform, exterior interior very beautiful tradition, star plan, and they use that basaltic soapstone, very soft but very hard when it comes to after carving it becomes hard under the sun itself, and very beautiful blackish. Even Chennakeshwara temple, even Hoysaleshwara temple, blackish temples, very beautiful in that way. People believe that Hoysaleshwara were able to take the best out of both worlds, and you can see that it is looking like a shikhar also, but it is also looking like a vimana, and therefore they take the best of both worlds and they took it to the zenith in that regard. So Vesara in this larger context is a mixture of both. Hoysaleshwara art is an example of Vesara. Last but not the least is Vijayanagara style. Vijayanagara, the point is that they changed the way they saw their color and design, and because Vijayanagara was surrounded by the Bahmanis, they will pick up on Indo-Islamic style, which we will be discussing tomorrow. They'll mix up everything from Chola to Hoysaleshwara to Pandya, Chalukya, everything which is there. But a very important, distinct feature of the Vijayanagara style is called Kalyan Mandap. It's called Kalyan Mandap. Kalyan Mandap is a mandapa which is there till today. It is there in Vijayanagara and a lot of parts of Karnataka, wherein the gods are married ceremonially every year, the male and the female goddess, in a very grand ceremony. And where it happens is called the Kalyan Mandap. If you are from this region, you would know that yes, monolithic rocks, Vijayanagara, we will come back to when we talk about the Lepakshi temple itself. They take up a lot of different mythical creatures also, for example, the Yali, which is an elephant plus lion imagery. The point of the matter is that the most distinct feature is Kalyan Mandap. In the examination, as soon as you look at Kalyan Mandap, you should automatically mark Vijayanagara. Don't have to look up, don't have to look down, just mark Vijayanagara. And last but not the least is the fact that they used to make gopurams in all different areas, in 4 directions, could be 3, could be 2, but they used to make multiple gopurams in that regard. So, Hoysaleshwara, example of Vesara. Kalyan Mandap, Kalyan, remember, Kalyan Mandapa is the word which marks the most distinct feature of Vijayanagara. You can also marry if you want to marry in Kalyan Mandap, it needs to be booked, but it is a very ceremonial thing which is done in the Vijayanagara made temples. Then, moving to the east and closing the story of temples and architecture. We have not talked about Bengal specifically. And in Bengal, if you remember, you had the Palas. So the Palas were what religion? Palas were what religion? Buddhist, very good. So the Palas were Buddhists, and therefore they were the ones who, through the Nalanda University, through the Sompura Mahavihara, which is now in Bangladesh, kept that tradition of Buddhist architecture alive. And from Nalanda to Jagdala to Ranpuri to Vikramshila, this image, where have you seen this image? Tell me, where have you seen this image? If you can tell me where this image was, which means that you have been following a lot of things. Where have you seen this image? Come on. Good, Avni, very good. Very good, very good, very good. This exact image was recently used quite a lot. The above one, Nalanda one. G20, the background where the Prime Minister and the President greeted everybody for the dinner. Exact image was used. It's in the NCERT. This now makes Nalanda important. 3 to 4 things were shown quite a lot when we discussed by the end of the year the current affairs. First, the Sun Temple, Konark, the wheel of the Sun Temple was shown, and Nalanda was there quite a lot. Nalanda was a background at which he was actually greeting everybody. This is actually Pala architecture. Palas use a very distinct reddish stone, which is very common to all the stupas which were used and is a part of Buddhist imagery. So they were primarily Buddhist and kept the Buddhist influence alive. But the biggest influence which can be seen of the Palas is actually on the Rajput rulers, Senas who succeeded him, and the iconic thing which is there for Bengal architecture. If I had to use one word for Bengal architecture, it's called sloping roof. Sloping curved roof. This roof which you see, this is the most iconic roof of what we call as of Bengal. This is the Dakshineshwari temple in Bangladesh. Curved sloping roof, burnt brick and clay terracotta bricks, tall curving shikhar, you can see curving shikhar, and use of different metals and stones with very lustrous finish. As you can see, very bright lustrous finish. So before we take certain questions, I'll now do, I think I should have certain questions with me. 1 second. If not, we'll start something else. One second. Jahangir, Shah Jahan. Give me 1 second, just figuring out. Yes, it is there. Okay. So before we do the previous questions, Vesara, Hoysaleshwara, hybrid, mixture. What is the word which is marked for? Which is the word which is used across everywhere for Vijayanagara style? What is that word? Which would be a cue for Vijayanagara style? Kalyan Mandap. And the Pala style, what is the most distinguishing feature? Pala. Very good. Red colored terracotta bricks. And Sena and Bengal architecture. What is the word? Sloping curve. So if all of this, now before I go take previous questions, prelims, I want everybody's assertion that it will be a long day. Tomorrow I think till half day it will be a little bit heavy because we have to do architecture. Thereafter it will start to ease off. But are we clear with regards to temple architecture? Because temple architecture is over. We have to now start with Delhi Sultanate. We have to go to Mughal India. Temple architecture, you have seen Nitin Singhania, for sure you would have opened Nitin Singhania. Does this actually make more sense than Nitin Singhania? Are you now in a better position to write answers about temples? And have I given you the ability to stand in any part of the country and just by looking at the temple, tell me where you are in India? Do you have that capability? Perfect. Just by looking at the temple, You should. And I urge you, inculcate this in your life. Watching a movie, watching a soap opera, or going somewhere, have gone somewhere, have family pictures, revisit them. Look at them. Try to find elements. There will be exceptions because modern temples have changed. There will be now boundary walls on temples which did not have it. ASI would have built it. But generally, look for the standard things. Google them. It will help you also. Try to engage with it. Art and culture only wants one thing, which is interest. If you take interest in it, you will never forget and you will never, ever, ever find it boring. If you take interest, you can do this easily. Can I take previous questions now? Yes, we can. Okay. Some Buddhist rock cut caves are called chaityas, while the other are called viharas. What is the difference between the two? Vihara is a place of worship, while chaitya is a dwelling of monks. Chaitya is a worship place, while vihara is a dwelling place of monks. Chaitya is the stupa at the far end of the cave, while vihara is the hall axial to it. There's no material difference between the two. I'm giving you a minute to read it. Keep it very simple and straightforward. It's not a difficult question, but I'm giving you time to read it. This is a previous question. %87% totally correct. 1 and 3% and 10%. 10% are confused. 3% have no idea what they were doing. And thank God and thank you for not marking D. So these two are the opposite of each other. This is a random statement which is written, axial hall, this, that, no. Okay, Chaitya and Stupa are not the same. This is again the examiner did not have anything to write, so he did it. So Vihara worship, Chaitya monks dwelling place. Chaitya worship, Vihara dwelling place. Easy. Chaitya is the shrine, Vihara is the dwelling place. Bihar, the word Bihar comes out of Bihar. So it means residential place. This is an easy question. But in the context of the examination, it becomes difficult because students tend to overthink. So we have to keep it very simple. And Chaitya worship, Vihara. Okay, can we move to the next question? Yes, this is a good question. With reference to the history of Indian rock cut architecture, the caves at Badami are the oldest surviving rock cut caves in India. The Barabar and Nagarjuni Hill complex or caves were originally made for Ajivix by Emperor Chandragupta Maurya. At Ellora, caves are made from different faiths. Which of the statements is correct? Come on, answer. 10-15 of you are not answering. That is not done. %68% totally correct. 15 and 12%, little bit up down. See, Ellora has different faiths. Yes or no? That Venn diagram. So 3 has to be there. So we eliminate A. Now, Barabar rock cut caves originally given to Ajivix. Totally correct. But by whom? Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, very good. Ashoka and Dashrath. Which is the oldest surviving caves in India? Very good. I don't know who taught you art and culture, but you're answering well. Very good. So Barabar and Nagarjuni. So very simply, the answer for this question is given here. This is the wrong statement, and just by knowing that, you can come to the answer. Is this question difficult? No. But when the year it came out, a lot of students called it difficult. But what you actually need is what? Conceptual clarity. That what is first, what is second, what is this, what is that. There's no rocket science behind it. There's no rocket science. Simple, straightforward question. Okay. This you can't answer. Okay. Which one of the following is correct? Ajanta cave lie in the gorge of river Bokhera. Sachi Stupa lies in the gorge of Chambal river. Pandalini cave shrine lies in the gorge of Narmada river. Amravati Stupa lies in the gorge of Godavari river. This is called a historical geography question. 68. Listening to me. 9, 6, and 18. What we're concerned about is the 18. Okay, let's put into perspective. This is a stupa. This is a stupa. Stupas are strategically placed. Yes or no? Give me a yes or no answer. Stupas are strategically placed. Yes. Then why will you put it into a gorge of the river? You take the stupa and you put it into the gorge of a river. Will it be called strategically placed? It needs just logic. Now, Ajanta, I don't know it is on Bokhera. Forget it. But Pandavleni, I know is in Nasik. Or they're called Nasik caves or Pandavleni caves. This is 2021 question. Narmada river goes through Nasik district. Even close to Nasik district. This is called a question of history plus geography. What today UPSC did in GS paper 1, first question. You need to have an understanding of geography. you need to have an understanding of, you need to know what is Chambal River, what is Narmada River, what is Godavari River. And thereafter, you need to know what is Vaghera River. This part is history question, this part is geography question. This happens. This is a difficult question. The difficult question, other than that, I've already shown you that oxbow, which is, or that curve which said Vaghera River. Separate issue altogether. Right? Okay. I want you to take this question, this is Buddhism question, but asked as art and culture question. With reference to Indian history, who among the following is a future Buddha who is yet to come and save the world? Very simple, straightforward question. Again, simple, not very difficult. If you remember anything out of ancient, you'll be able to answer this question. Very easy question. Just have to remember Buddhism. (70, 12, 15, 3). See, either you know that it is Maitri. We'll do paintings tomorrow, yes. Or you know very simple thing. Avalokeshwar, Lokeshwar, Padampani is the same person. Bodhisattva, Padampani, Bodhisattva, Avalokeshwar, Bodhisattva, Lokeshwar. Same thing. Lokeshwar called in Theravada, Avalokeshwar called in Mahayani Buddhism, Padampani called in Ajanta caves. So this question is literally Bodhisattva question. Manjushri, Vajrapani. Now, after doing these questions, because there are certain questions for which we have to do paintings and all, Banithani, and very straightforward questions again. But do you understand whatever questions are coming in the examination? I'm now a little bit more comfortable. Do you understand the purpose of the discussion we're having here? Because I'll show you mains questions also. But I hope you are getting my point here. There is certain facts. There are certain concepts. As I told you today, tomorrow, these are heavy topics. Temple architecture is done. Tomorrow, we will start with Delhi Sultanate architecture. Then we will discuss Mughal architecture. Then we will go to paintings, sculpture, and then dance, music, puppetry. From here on, it will become easier. Till this point, it is heavy. Painting and sculpture. Paintings, I will show you paintings. This is what is historic paintings. And this is the last thing. This is for tomorrow. Modern India, foreign influences. This is your Gothic architecture. And yes, tomorrow is going to be a very beautiful journey of India vis-a-vis Mughal architecture. We'll discuss all these things. Peter Dury. And as always, I'll give you boxes and everything. But here I want to again give you conceptual clarity. And we'll discuss Delhi Sultanate also in the same context. So this is going to be the agenda for tomorrow. I think part A will go into this. Part B, we will transition into paintings and all. Now we're going into smaller topics. This is the only heavy topic which we have to discuss. We have reached here. Tomorrow's agenda is this. First, Delhi Sultanate, Mughal. Part A and B, I think, will go into this. So we'll start at 10. By 5, we should be done with this. 5 onwards, 5 to 8, we'll try to cover paintings. Next week, as it is your last 2 classes of art and culture, 23rd and 24th. 23rd and 24th, we'll do multiple miscellaneous topics, small topics. Finish everything. I'll bring Nitin Singhania and we'll see what it is. So if you don't have a question and if you are totally perfect about today, you can leave the session. If somebody has a question, I'll be happy to take the questions now. I don't want to start anything in the last 7 minutes of the class. So pace is okay, understanding everything is okay. If you want to call, you can call. And if you want to ask a question, what chapter you need to read from the book, that I will tell you once I've covered a substantial portion. We're still here in the same first chapter. Yes, Sushmita, please watch the first recording. You will get a discussion about the GS paper 1. We discussed it. Perfect, Hardeep. If you don't have a doubt, if you have no issues, you can go. I will see you tomorrow 10 a.m. Please be energetic. Have a good breakfast. In a way, this is the second last weekend with me. Last weekend is coming with me. Monday onwards, World History evening, I will see you if you are attending that also. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Good night. Perfect. Amita. Yeah, the NCERT will now make more sense. The problem with the finance NCERT was that it's written not from a historical perspective or even a UPSC perspective. It's written from a what we call as a perspective of a fine art student, which is art background. But they give us certain information which makes sense. I'm not. If you've noticed, I've not covered that production path outside, inside, that I will discuss tomorrow. If it is coming from outside, if it is from inside, there is 3 names, very heavy names given. I've not touched that because I don't want to make it heavy too much today. Okay. Good night. Good night. Anybody, anything? If not, I'll stop the stream then. Waiting for that. No? Okay. Thank you. Take care. See you tomorrow at 10.